You can barely see the Alaska Highway as the silt whips up from a dry riverbed.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most breathtaking natural wonders that have been lost due to time or human intervention.
He thus obtained permission from the United States Forest Department to cut the tree down, only to discover that he had killed the world's oldest organism, so whoopsie did.
Number 10. The Azure Window, Malta.
A small gift for the new Glacier.
Eventually, time comes for everything. Over the course of 500 years, ocean waves caused a rock to slowly erode away, eventually forming a perfect arch that exposed the water behind it. This became known as the Azure Window, which became one of Malta's crown jewels. However, the elements that had formed the structure would also lead to its downfall. As decades passed, chunks of the arch would break off. People climbing on it only contributed to the damage.
A 2013 study said erosion to the landmark was inevitable, but at the time, it wasn't in immediate danger of collapsing. And last year, the government made walking across the natural bridge a crime.
The final blow came in 2017, when a storm swept through and weakened the pillar enough to make it fall into the depths below. That night, centuries of natural work were undone, and the site has remained empty since.
Malta's Prime Minister said it always faced destruction because of natural corrosion, but described its demise as heartbreaking.
Number 9. Sycamore Gap Tree, England. Ignorance knows no bounds. For over a century, Northumberland, England's beloved Sycamore Gap Tree served as a symbol of the region. It was so beloved that it was even awarded for its stature. No one could have anticipated that it would meet its end through a single senseless act.
And this much-loved tree by Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland had stood in this gap for 300 years, and then, without warning, it was felled on Wednesday night.
In 2023, locals awoke to the sight of the tree cut down. High winds the previous night had masked the sound of it being felled, resulting in a nasty shock.
When I saw it on the television last night, I just had a lump in my throat. I feel I'm filling up now.
After several arrests, 2 men were criminally charged in 2024. While the destruction of the tree has been mourned, there is one silver lining. New seedlings from the sycamore's remnants have sprouted, meaning that generations from now, it could potentially reach the same heights as its predecessor.
The appearance of that tree in that setting was just so perfect, and to have lost that's been devastating. So to start seeing that regrowth happen, so that hopefully we'll have something again in the future at some point for future generations, is really great news.
Number 8. Old Man of the Mountain, United States.
You have seen the history of the world over many centuries. Today you have fallen, and its people are sad. May they be strong as you have taught them.
Some formations are so intricate that it's hard to believe they came about naturally. That's the case for the Old Man of the Mountain, a unique grouping of stone that had eroded over thousands of years into the shape of a human face. Once the subject of legends among indigenous tribes, it eventually became a local icon for New Hampshire in modern times.
It's a symbol. It's on everything.
Yeah.
Signs, licenses, plates, state coin, everything.
However, fluctuating temperatures caused cracks to form throughout the 20th century. Locals tried to fix it, but despite their best efforts, it finally collapsed in 2003. The Old Man of the Mountain may be gone, but a memorial and commemorative day ensure it won't be forgotten.
This seemed to actually replicate it like it was in your memory?
Yeah, pretty much. This device allows you to see what it would have looked like up there. Yeah. Very cool.
Number 7. The Larsen Ice Shelf, Antarctica. Even wonders far from the prying eyes of humans are not safe from the effects of human activity. What was once a sprawling expanse known as the Larsen Ice Shelf has slowly begun to break apart, with each collapse bringing its own set of consequences.
Ice shelves are the gatekeepers for glaciers flowing from Antarctica towards the ocean. Without them, glacier ice enters the ocean faster and faster and accelerates the pace of global sea level rise.
The first major collapse occurred in 1995, marking the end of Shelf A. Segment B followed in 2002, exposing a never-before-seen biosphere to the elements above. This alarmed scientists.
The studies have shown that 2 of the 3 glaciers feeding Larsen B have sped up massively since the shelf first split in 2002, with scientists now predicting that a major crack is likely to move all the way across the shelf, splintering the remnants into icebergs that will float away.
As global temperatures continued to rise, Shelf C began to deteriorate, leading to a massive rift that caused a huge iceberg to break off in 2017. Now, with only one stable section remaining, the platform is at risk of disappearing entirely.
There are glaciers behind the Larsen Sea that will accelerate as that goes away, that barrier disappears. And it's that ice that comes from land and into the ocean that contributes to sea level rise. So that is a small part of the equation of why we're seeing seawater in Miami Street.
Number 6, the Wona tunnel tree, United States. Even before its destruction, this tree was being exploited daily.
I have often wondered if a sequoia could speak, what stories it would tell.
Once reaching a staggering height of nearly 230 feet, the Wona tunnel tree in Yosemite was a truly breathtaking sight for locals and tourists alike. Rather than let it stand on its own, a tunnel was cut through it in 1881 with the goal of creating a unique attraction. It was a massive success, and people came from all over the country to experience it themselves.
They've seen generations of Native Americans walk by underneath them, and just in the last blink of an eye, it's people from all over the world have started walking underneath them.
In 1969, the 2,000-year-old tree succumbed to heavy snowfall and fell. The location remained popular, with visitors traveling from afar to view the fallen giant. It seems that whether dead or alive, the organism has an allure that can't be denied.
When you walk through the forest and you see a big tree, you're like, oh, that's a big tree. But when you walk through the forest and there's giant sequoias, there's nothing like it. Like, that tree is so much bigger than everything else, and you're just dwarfed by it.
Number 5, Slims River, Canada. Nature's unpredictability is thought to be exacerbated by climate change, leading to some wonders disappearing in the blink of an eye.
Glacial melt, plate tectonics. These things take their sweet time to develop, so when an entire river vanishes in just 4 days, it's safe to assume geoscientists are going to freak out.
Originally born from the Kaskawulsh Glacier in the Yukon, Slims River was once a thriving waterway. It sourced its water from the formidable ice block until 2016, when it suddenly began to recede.
Today, its terminus or end is in retreat. So much that the glacial water which used to feed the Slims River has taken another route to a different river, the Kaskawulsh, leaving the Slims River basin drier and the lake it feeds, Kluane, thirsty.
This sudden change in flow rerouted all of the water to the Kaskawulsh River, sending the runoff into the Gulf of Alaska. Within days, the Slims River had all but vanished, leaving only a dried-out bed.
So what do they call this now? It's not a river.
No, it's more, we haven't figured that one out yet, but it's more of just a creek, right? It's just being fed by some of the local creeks here.
Yeah.
So it's
Slim's Desert,
like it used to be.
Yeah.
The lake it was connected to has seen a drop in water level as well, indicating that the consequences are far from over. Number 4, the Chacaltaya Glacier, Bolivia. What was once a thriving local attraction is now nothing more than a distant memory. Located in Bolivia, the Chacaltaya Glacier existed for an estimated 18,000 years. The area served as the country's only ski resort, where it entertained citizens and tourists alike, even as it was degrading.
Bueno, hoy es un cementerio porque aquí ya no vemos esquiador, ya no hay nieve, no hay glaciar, más que pura piedra.
While scientists were aware that the glacier would naturally expire, they predicted it wouldn't occur until 2015. But a combination of reduced snowfall and a particularly warm period caused it to melt much faster than anticipated.
If we're going to think about alternatives, then we have to do them right away. The effects are appearing much faster than we can respond to them.
By 2009, all that remained were a few patches of ice. While that's awful enough, it's only the beginning, as several other ice caps in the Andes are also at risk of melting away.
Los glaciares que son similares a Chacaltaya a lo largo de la cordillera real, que forma parte de la cordillera de los Andes, están sufriendo el mismo proceso de derretimiento y muerte que probablemente en el transcurso de los 30 años que vienen.
Number 3, Pink and White Terraces, New Zealand. Once the biggest deposits of geyserite on the planet, the Pink and White Terraces gained global attention as far back as the 19th century.
Our first visitors arrived that you could call tourists in 1838-39. And the one thing those people all wanted to see from that visit and on was the pink and white terraces.
Only a few decades into their popularity, they were destroyed. In 1886, the eruption of Mount Tarawera led to the entire area being converted into a giant crater.
What was once the bottom of the lake had dropped as much as 500 feet. Where the lake and terraces had been was now a vast, steaming, sulfurous crater.
Eventually, a new lake and ecosystem formed and thrived, but the memory of the pink and white terraces lived on. Excavations throughout the 21st century have reignited hopes that they were merely buried rather than destroyed and could one day be visible again.
It took an underwater robot with sonar and imaging technology to see beneath the silt. The location and scale are true to the originals, and Duron describes it as the find of a lifetime, a find which could continue to surprise.
Number 2, the Arrol Sea, Central Asia. Some natural wonders degrade over a long period of time and face disastrous effects that aren't noticed until it's too late. Once the third largest lake on Earth, the Arrol Sea has been victim to constant changes in climate and repeated human intervention.
At one time, waves crashed against these cliffs. Now, only the wind sweeps across this desert landscape.
Some geographers had written about its depletion as far back as the 1400s, but those warnings were ignored. The building of canals for Soviet irrigation throughout the 1950s cemented its depletion.
The region is still heavily dependent on this resource. As a result, the Arrol Sea is drying up. In 60 years, it has lost 90% of its volume.
This resulted in disastrous effects on both the Arrol Sea's own ecosystem and nearby communities. While there have been attempts to reverse some of the damage, it's unclear how effective they can be, especially when whole sections have dried out.
As the sea receded, it left behind a thick layer of salt. Hectares of land are now infertile, and the heavy winds sometimes blow away the salty sand.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, the Tree of Tenere, Niger. A careless moment is sometimes all it takes to wipe out a national treasure. Despite the arid climate, a single acacia tree served as the remaining proof of a time when the Sahara received more precipitation.
But around 3000 BC, changes in the climate caused the area to dry up, and gradually all the humans, animals, and plants disappeared, swallowed up by the scorching desert. By the late 18th century AD, only the Tree of Tenere remains, the only tree in an empty wasteland some 500 kilometers across.
The Tree of Tenere stood proudly for hundreds of years and provided a unique indicator for travelers. It seemed impervious to any natural forces, but human activity was another story. It still stood after being struck by a car in 1959, but a subsequent crash in 1973 by an allegedly drunk driver sealed its fate.
Despite having 400 kilometers on either side to go around it. Nonetheless, into the tree he went, broke it clean off, and in that instant, the last Tree of Tenere was no more.
In one fateful moment, a symbol of the region's tenacity was wiped out. Now, all that remains in its place is a metal statue, an eerie reminder of the natural beauty that once thrived there.
The tree's death caused outrage across Niger and the rest of the world, and prompted the Niger government to recover the remains and place them on display in the Musée National Bobo Hama in Niamey, where they remain to this day.
Which natural wonder do you think had the most tragic end? Let us know in the comments below.
It's been 40 years since the water disappeared from here. Today, it's a trawler graveyard.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.